You've just accessed Hardware is Forever, your source for the expert insights, ideas, and innovations you need to do more in the electronics manufacturing industry. From optimization to operations, join us as we put the pieces together for a better approach to manufacturing. Let's go.
This is Hardware is Forever. I'm Chris Vintliff. Jay Patel is the CEO at Amtech. Jay, we've been spending the last 7 or 8 episodes exploring lean manufacturing or the lean concepts. And one of the things that you have mentioned a couple times is, hey, I'm just figuring this out. Like I'm just a student of this. So I'm no expert, but here's what's coming to mind for me, or here's what I'm learning. Kind of our bookend conversation on this lean is Kaizen, which is an interesting phrase or word that I think is meant to encapsulate some of this. I'll let you sort of define Kaizen and also what it has meant to you, or how does it put an umbrella over all of this for you, or give you sort of an anchor point to think about lean equals Kaizen, or what's the relationship for you?
Yeah, so I think, the perfection is always hard to get, or, the ideal is always hard to aspire for. So what is the second best thing? Is the pursuit of perfection, or or aspiring and putting that into action of how to achieve that particular goal. And I think that's where Kaizen comes into play. It's like, if you try to be a lean organization from day one, there's just too much unknowns in yourself and in the industry and in your processes and in your products and everything that's around you, that you can't get kicked off being perfect. Like you can't say, hey, yeah, man, we just did a great job implementing lean. And I think, if I was to do it and I try to be lean and I didn't have this concept of Kaizen, it would be a very frustrating experience. It would be a very demoralizing experience. And I think because we are trying to reach for these ideals that are really hard for anybody and everybody to do it. And case in point is Toyota started it and they're the best at it. Everybody's tried to implement it, but nobody implements it and gets it like Toyota does it still. And so it's been decades of these principles being out there and being available to the public. So I think it is a process, and I think Kaizen really empowers individuals to start where they are. You don't have to be at a certain level or have a certain understanding or have a certain expertise to be able to implement lean. So Kaizen is basically the pursuit of perfection with continual process improvement, and I think that's where Kaizen brings it all together.
I love that Kaizen, with the continual process improvement, is about sort of small steps, or improve this small thing ahead of you, and then improve the next small thing ahead of you. It makes it more manageable, or as you said, we're trying to seek perfection. It's a lot easier to seek perfection of this small thing ahead of me instead of thinking of the huge, giant, complex part of it. Do you find, were there parts about Kaizen that I guess inspired you to get into this study of lean? And I know Toyota's entire situation is kind of fascinating for you. Like, is Kaizen new to you from lean, or were you familiar with it and it inspired you to get more invested in lean?
I think, I don't know. I really can't say, because I know everybody talks about lean manufacturing and and the Toyota way and all this is part of on there. So I don't know what came first. Was it the concept of Kaizen or the concept of lean that came first? And it was probably the concept of lean that came first, and Kaizen was part of it. And it was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like the last principle has to be Kaizen, because it's tough to implement. So how do you implement it? You implement it one chunk at a time, one thing at a time. But the difference between improving, Kaizen is a proactive improvement. So it is not something that's driven by wastes or customer feedback or anything like that. It is a mindset of continuous improvement. So you have to be intentional about it. And to create that infrastructure to be intentional, I think if you implement the other principles of lean, then you have capacity to be able to in one way or another. And it's kind of like a flywheel. As you implement more, you get more and more resources to reinvest in, and we can continue and improve. And I think continuously improve, and just that flywheel just keeps on going. And I feel like, that's the power of Kaizen is you have to be intentional. You have to stop. You have to say, what are our issues? How are we going to fix them? Whether the customer wants it or not, or whether it makes sense or not. It is just like, that's in our DNA. Like, we see things and we fix them, and we find things. If it's not obvious, we'll find things to fix. So then we can have that attitude to keep on improving, so that it helps our customers and it helps us grow in the market, and help other customers grow as well.
We talked a little bit about Kanban in our last conversation, which we just briefly touched on it, but really basically it's a way of indicating a need in a process literally by sorting cards. And it's a system. So as you're talking about Kaizen in an organization and how we need to do this and this and that, does it need to be systematized? So does it work best when there's a process? These are the 17 steps, everybody, that we follow to try to always be achieving Kaizen? Or is it more about, do we have the right people in place where the mindset can be sort of adopted naturally?
I think it's better where it comes, wherever you are. So if you need a process, if you can create a process for you to do it more effectively, great. But if you're not there yet and you need to just start improving on the basic things, just like make a punch list and say, this is what we need to improve on, and start doing it. And then as your team grows, as your organization grows, as this becomes more and more sophisticated at different levels and different departments, there may be processes that you need to put in place to make sure that people are understanding, getting the resources, thinking outside of the box, identifying opportunities for improvement. So, I think you just got to start where you're at. And, I'm sure Toyota has an end step process that they follow for Kaizen, and they go through everything. It's very, very detailed. But Toyota has done that for their particular industry and for the position that they're in. Does a restaurant have to have the same processes as Toyota with the same level of sophistication, or even Amtech? Probably not. Like, I think we just it could be a 5-step process, a 2-step process, identify the opportunity for improvement and implement the opportunity for improvement, like solve it and implement it. It could be a 2-step process. So it all depends on the organization and where they're at. I think getting stuck in the nuances of how to do it is not important, but the fact that you start doing it, and as you do it, you'll find better ways and learn what works for you and what works for your company and what works for your customers and for your team.
Are you putting for your team, are you putting some of these principles or some of these ideas in place at Amtech? How's that going? Is it more a sensibility? What's it been like over at Amtech as you sort of invested more about this? Have you brought some of it into the sort of flow over there?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always room for improvement. Everybody has a list of things that they need to improve on, but I think the big thing is how to prioritize it and how to implement it. And what we try to do is we try to take these big improvements and kind of give one or two to the people on our leadership team or who are driving things in the organization. And they have 1 quarter to implement the changes and champion those changes. Of course, we would work as a team to help implement these different changes. But we try to make it so then we can identify these things, and at a quarterly basis, have at least 5 to 10 things that the company is working on to improve itself. Now, is the way that Toyota does it? No, maybe not. Maybe that's the way they do it. I don't know. But that's the way that we're doing it. And, it says like, okay, you're going to do 5 or 10 things every quarter. But when you compound that over, a year or 2 years or 3 years, you are making significant changes to your organization. We've done this for 3 or 4 years now. And the organization that we are today, it is completely different than the organization we were 3 years ago by doing this type of intentional and continuous improvement on a quarterly basis. Less is more. So we select few things, but we focus and make sure that we can change those things.
One of the things I like about Kaizen is if you want, you can distill it down into like a personal philosophy. So you can be personally saying, what can I do to perfect this even more or reach this state of of max efficiency or whatever. And if enough people are doing that, then in aggregate, it starts to sort of show itself in an organization. I know you to be a really curious person, and you're always studying this or researching that or wondering about this. I don't know, does any of this reflect on how you see yourself as a leader, how you want to approach leadership, how you think others might better approach leadership?
Yeah, I think, the concept of Kaizen, and when Toyota made it, it was really a precursor to what we think about as growth mindset right now. Is like growth mindset is the big thing that everybody's talking about, making sure that we exemplify that for our children. We model that for our children, model that for our organization. And I think Toyota and the people who implemented Lean initially, maybe they didn't call it growth mindset, but they talked about continuous improvement. Like, I may not be the world class right now, but if I keep on doing Kaizen and have Kaizen events and incorporate it into our organization's culture, then we can become world class one day. And I think that's where that mind shift changes, is that you can pursue perfection. You can make it a sport, and you can go in every single day, and rather than just punching in, working, and punching out, you can make it something that's really, really dynamic, really creative, and really fun, and see the results on a day-to-day basis, especially at work.
Gamify Kaizen. I like it. I think it's an interesting approach, and the whole thing can probably be thought of as dynamic.
I mean, we all play the game of business. So right. This is a tool in our toolbox that we should be using to win the game of business.
I don't have a better way to close out than that. Jay Patel is the CEO at Amtech. Thanks, Jay, for all of this interesting discovery around Lean and all the sort of thought-provoking things we talked about. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, and a special thanks to our subscribers and followers. Consider becoming one today wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. Hardware is Forever is designed, tested, engineered, and built by the manufacturing experts at Amtech. Learn more and let us help you envision your next project with a free Design for Manufacturing assessment at buildamtech.com/DFM.